Hey everybody, this is Mr. Plantt, and I am one of your 6 different physics teachers this year at Greeley West High School, so welcome. If you've gotten to this video, odds are you've already gotten on Schoology, so this video is really just to go through our course syllabus and kind of what you can expect from the class this year. We have some special things with everything going on with coronavirus, so some good important information. After the video, you will need to submit a assignment on Schoology that proves you watched the video. You can answer some key questions about some of the most important things on the syllabus, and also this will be our way of making sure that you've done your work on your online days. We aren't going to be doing synchronous, which would mean that during our in-person days, you're logging on your computer and watching the class. Instead, we'll have in-person days where we're working with the kids in person, and then the other set of students will be working online kind of at their own pace. The only thing is you have to get these assignments turned in pretty much by 3 o'clock so that we can see, check, and mark your attendance appropriately. We'll talk more about that in the days to come, but just keep that in mind, right? These assignments are how you get shown attendance, and then they also give you some free grades, so that's really good. So this syllabus is kind of weird because at the top there's just some blank information. Your syllabus will have your teacher's information, like mine says Mr. Plantt as the teacher and classroom is room 204. So that's some good information. Your teacher's email especially. We're going to be sending lots and lots of emails just because we're with this hybrid model. That's our best way to get in contact with you. So make sure you know our email and that you're checking your email. So physics, you might have heard about it. It can be a really scary thing, especially in the past, but this is a new type of physics. This is specifically designed for freshmen. We do a lot of earth science in this as well. And so really, as this kind of course description says, we're just looking at how to view and understand the world through the lens of physics, right? How do things physically operate and how do we describe them? You actually know a lot more physics than you think. We'll just be kind of giving you the right vocabulary to describe all the different things. So in this first semester, we're really going to only cover one unit because of our weird schedule, this hybrid schedule. In this first quarter, I guess, we'll be covering unit 1, which is just motion and some plate tectonics. And then if we have time, we'll get to some momentum and collisions. So how do things move? How do we describe how they move? How do things move on Earth, like these giant plate tectonics? And then Unit 2 kind of gets into what happens when they hit each other. That will take us into second semester where we'll go into energy and motion and field forces and energy, looking at Earth and the solar system, gravitational fields. You'll see all these unit tasks. We're really going to focus on projects and having you show your understanding through a project or some sort of task rather than like a big test. So we'll have little quizzes and projects rather than quizzes and tests. And then unit 4 and 5 are 4 we'll probably get to, which is kind of electromagnetism and generators. So how do we use energy? How do we create it? How do we, I guess not create it, how do we alter it from its natural resource in the earth to electricity, which is what we need to charge our cell phones and computers and all of that. If we have time, we'll get to unit 5, which is all about space and how do we extend this knowledge to outside of Earth and analyze space around us. This next part is a bunch of Colorado standards. They probably won't mean a lot to you. This is what teachers get as what tells us what we need to teach to you. So it can be good to look at to make sure that like, hey, like what is the scope of what I need to learn? But you probably will never look at these, so don't worry too much about them. So here's some really important stuff. What do you need for each class? First and foremost, you gotta be ready to learn. This is new and interesting, and it can be hard and frustrating. So you got to be ready to work through that. You're going to get frustrated. That is okay. You're going to mess up and fail. That is expected and absolutely okay. You learn way more physics by doing it wrong a couple times than right the first time around. Okay. Material-wise, you're going to need a pen and pencil. You're going to need that laptop, whether it's your personal laptop or your Chromebook, and you have to bring it with you every single day. Our textbook is entirely online. Especially with coronavirus limitations. So you're going to need that laptop with you. You're going to need a notebook just for this class, which is pretty standard here at West. Calculator, you could probably just use your laptop, but if you have one, it'd be good to bring. Ruler, colored pencil, highlighters, glue sticks, tape, all of those things. We can't give you materials. Normally, I provide a lot of these like colored pencils and tape and all of that. We can't give them to you this year. And you can't share with other people. Has to be your own. We'll try to give you as much heads up if we're going to use something special ahead of time, but just, have that pencil bag of kind of easy to access materials ready. We will have class notes and everything posted on Schoology, which is where you'll be kind of accessing everything for all your classes this year. So here's just some quick websites that you might need to be using. Schoology, really good for getting everywhere, right? If you go anywhere first, go to Schoology. That's going to be your home base and have all the instructions for maybe if you missed a day or any of that. Google Classroom may or may not use, depending on your teacher, on how to turn things in. Just an easier way to turn papers in and grade them on the teacher side. So sometimes we use it. Schoology is getting better and better at that too. So odds are it might just all be in Schoology. This next one's really important, the HMH Ed website. Your video tomorrow will be Mr. Van Gilder talking about how to get on and use this website. So for now, just know that it's really important because that's where our textbook lives and where we can do some simulations and different things like that. But there's a couple steps to get to it. And then I also put on PhET simulations, which are just these online physics simulations that we might use in place of experiments. We really want to make sure this stays as hands-on as possible and with lots of labs, but we got to be careful with having you guys touch lab materials and then have somebody else touch it. And so sometimes it might just be easier for us to do a simulation instead. Okay. We're like halfway there, almost done. This last part will go quick. Grade weights. 70% of your grade in this class is based off of tests, quizzes, projects, and labs. So kind of like all the hands-on stuff and the big ideas and the tests, that's 70%. That is the biggest chunk of your grade because that is where you show us that you understand and know the material. The other 30% is like the classwork assignments, the homework, having your notebook organized, and if we check your notebooks, those types of grades. So 30% is kind of like as you're building understanding and practicing, which is normally you do it, you get the points. And then 70% will be, hey, you got to show me that you have learned something and display your knowledge for me. Grading scale, very standard. 90 to 100 is an A, and then every 10% is a letter grade from there. Okay. You are going to be expected to complete certain or all forms of assessments, whether it's tests, quizzes, projects, labs. You need to do all of them because this is how we know that we have evidence that you have learned, right? An absence, if you're gone, if you're sick, that's not an excuse, right? We will work with you, talk with your teacher. We will work with you to come up with another plan or another way of completing it, but you have to complete it. There is no, I was gone that day, I don't have to do it. Like, no, you have to get it done. We will offer corrections and makeups because our view, especially here at West, is that we care more about you learning it than if you mess it up one time and have to redo it, right? As long as you can show us you have figured it out and learned it, we will give you those points, right? It might not be all of the points, but usually most of the points. Multiple corrections are kind of up to your teacher, right? Generally like another try, but you can't just kind of like go in and just blast through and try it 50 times. We want to see that you're taking it seriously when you redo it. Generally, corrections are to be completed within a week and a half of the original piece of evidence, whether that's a test or a lab. Most of this is so that we can talk about it in class, right? We want to have time to talk with you guys about these tests and about these projects, but if there's still people that need to redo them and show them, we can't really go over the answers. Okay, some big ideas of when corrections are encouraged. The student has received extra guidance outside the class prior to the collection of evidence, or the student has come in with a low score in evidence for a learning intervention, and for the teacher to determine the amount and type of guidance needed to meet expectations. Really, those are just good ways of knowing, like, hey, let's do a correction. Let's try to show that you actually know this. Really, it comes down to talk with your teacher, right? We are trained to know what's going to be the best for students, and we all want to work with you guys to know what's going to be best for you. Here's a new one. This assignments and late work is a coronavirus inspired one. You can turn in any of your work up to 1 week after the due date for full credit. Okay, so you have a week after the due date to get stuff turned in. This is because we know that life is crazy right now. We know that sometimes you'll be able to do the work right away. Sometimes you'll be taking care of brothers and sisters. We want to give you as much flexibility to get the work done, with the emphasis being that you're getting the work done, right? We care much more that you get it done than just don't do it. If it goes beyond that full week, we will still take it, but you might be docked a couple points, right? Maybe 10% or up to 50% for 2 to 3 days late. More often than not, we'll still take it, no matter how late it is, depending on what it is. You got to talk with your teacher. You got to keep that communication open. Any sort of at-home or remote work is typically due by 10 p.m. That's like a district-wide policy. For us, a lot of that online work will probably be due around 3:30, so that we can get your attendance taken in. If it's a big project, the attendance piece might just be like checking a box on Schoology and just say, boom, I was here, I've been working on my stuff. Because there's some stuff that you can't get done in one online class period. So that's kind of under that exceptions can be made for extraordinary circumstances. All right, and then just a couple procedures to talk about, right? Bring your notebook and your materials with you and your laptop with you every day. You will have an assigned seat that you will stay in the whole time. This is just to keep contacts at a minimum. So we'll give you an assigned seat on the first day. That is your seat. Learn it and love it. Okay, number 2, everyone's going to be accepted into class, and everyone should be respectful. This is a really big one, right? We want school to be safe for everyone. So be respectful of other people, be respectful of the teacher. We're all human, we all make mistakes. So just, come in with a good attitude, ready to work on things. Sometimes we'll have bad attitudes, teachers and students, right? We're all human. We'll be able to step back the next day and say, hey, I'm sorry, this wasn't fair, or at least explain why we were acting that way. And so, just be ready to be respectful and accept other students in the class, no matter what. Okay. Food and drink. This is definitely a weird one this year because you can't go off campus for lunch. So resealable drink bottles only, nothing open top. It's got to have a lid on it. Okay, that is for a lot of things. Keeping the classroom clean. We might have labs where we can't get things wet, stuff like that. And then also to keep exposure from any sort of germs and stuff floating around. Your grab and go breakfast and lunch can be eaten in classrooms at the designated times. So your first block will have some time for that, and then your homeroom will have time for lunch. Keep it to those. It's going to be such a big hassle if it's not in there. Cheetos, right? Don't you dare put some hot Cheeto dust on papers. That is gross. I don't want to touch no papers with hot Cheeto dust. Humble ain't about that life. Okay, and just keep the classroom clean, right? Follow dress code. The biggest one here is you got to wear a mask. All times, you got to wear a mask. If you need a break or something, talk to your teacher. We might be able to let you step outside for a second, but you got to keep that mask on. It's a respect piece of keeping, our germs to ourselves and not spreading it around. Plagiarism, copying, you'll get a 0, and then we'll talk with parents and administration if needed. It's in the handbook. Don't make it an issue. Lab rules, we'll go over safety and all that stuff as we start to use a lab. This is a kind of a one-strike policy. If you are messing around and you are being unsafe or breaking materials, you're going to get cut out of the lab, right? So just be respectful, be normal, right? If you don't think you should be throwing it across the class, guess what? You shouldn't be throwing it across the class. So we'll give you all the talks you need before it, but just make sure you are being smart when we do labs. They can be fun, they can be awesome, they're a great way to learn, but they can be dangerous if you are horsing around. Okay, some additional things from COVID. Any lab materials as well as work must be sanitized and wiped down for the next class period. That's mostly on the teachers, but we might need your help doing it every now and then. You gotta adhere to social distancing, so you'll be spread out in desks. You gotta stay in your seat. If we have labs, we'll go over how those labs will work and all of that, and definitely be assigning roles for each person in the lab so that we can keep the contact with materials to a minimum. All right, and then the last couple pieces, attendance, right? You're expected to be safe and healthy. If you're sick, stay home. If you're not sick, come to class. You want to be in class every day and participate regularly. If you are absent, we will have everything that we do each day posted on Schoology. And so you can get your missed notes, your warm-ups, the lessons we went over, the readings, all of that will be on Schoology. And once you look at that, then you can talk to your teacher with questions. But I can tell you right now, right, we get really annoyed if you, hey, I missed yesterday. And then if we ask if you've checked Schoology and the answer is no, you're going to know what the response is, right? Go check Schoology. Electronics and social media, right? Physics is not a time for Snapchat, for TikTok, for all of those. Leave it behind, right? If you're using your cell phone at a time you shouldn't be, we'll generally give you a warning, one warning, and if it keeps being a problem, then boom, it's going to the office, right? I'm not even going to take it. I don't want to touch your cell phone. I'm just going to call the office and they can take it and you can deal with it at the office. Right? Generally not a problem. We'll have times where it's fine to use your cell phone as you're doing work, but we just got to be responsible adults about it. Big difference this year, you can't be charging your cell phone in class. In years past, we've been fine with it with different like charging stations and stuff, but can't happen, right? It's another place to be moving and touching and contacting, and with coronavirus, we can't have it. So keep it in your pocket, keep it in your backpack, and only use it when you need to. All right, guys, that was a pretty kind of quick rundown of our syllabus. You just need to go over to Schoology now and answer a couple of quick questions on Schoology and submit it, and that will be your attendance for today. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, Mr. Plantt, or any one of your teachers, and we will be more than happy to help out. Take it easy, guys, and see you soon, tomorrow? I don't know, sometime. Bye-bye.